Denver International Airport felt more like a frozen mall than a place to catch planes that day. Snowstorm delays had grounded half the flights, and people were huddled around outlets, eating overpriced sandwiches and pacing like caged animals. I found a seat near gate C-22, quiet, away from the crowd, plugged in my phone and put on my headphones. That's when she sat down next to me. She must have been 9, maybe 10. Wearing a puffy blue jacket zipped all the way to her neck, a pink sparkly backpack clutched in her lap and scuffed white sneakers. Her brown hair was braided tight and neat, like someone who cared had done it that morning. At first I thought nothing of it. Kids fly alone all the time, and airlines usually assign attendants to escort them. Maybe her parents were nearby grabbing coffee. Maybe she wandered from her gate. But after 5 minutes of her just sitting there perfectly still, I noticed something strange. She wasn't holding a boarding pass, or a phone, or anything really. She wasn't fidgeting either. No squirming, no blinking, just staring dead ahead like a statue. And her expression, it wasn't nervous or bored or shy. It was blank, unsettlingly blank. I took my headphones off. "Hey, you okay?" I asked, keeping my voice gentle. She didn't answer. I glanced around. No adults even glanced our way. No airline employee. No parent hovering close. "Are you lost?" I tried again. Still nothing. I pulled out my phone, thinking I should maybe alert someone. But then something across the terminal caught my eye, right above the monitors displaying departure times. A white paper tacked to the info board. It was a missing child poster. I stood up to get a closer look. The photo hit me like a punch. Missing, Emma Lee Morgan, age 9. Last seen in Boise, Idaho. Brown hair, blue jacket, pink backpack. It was her. No mistaking it. Same braids. Same stare. I turned around slowly. She was still sitting in my seat, legs swinging gently. My heart hammered in my chest. I took a photo of the poster. Then, pretending to check a message, I took one of her. Side by side, they were identical. I walked to the help desk, trying not to freak out. A gate agent was fiddling with some forms, her eyes glazed. "Hey, I'm sorry, but I think there's a missing child at your gate," I whispered. "I just saw her photo on a poster over there." She barely looked up. "Is she traveling alone?" "I don't think she's supposed to be traveling at all." That got her attention. She radioed security. 10 minutes later, 2 TSA agents and an airport cop showed up. They approached slowly, calmly. I watched from behind a support column. "Hi there, sweetheart," the officer said. "What's your name?" She didn't answer. "Do you know where your parents are?" Nothing. Then she looked directly at me, like she had known the whole time that I'd be the one to notice. She smiled, finally, but it wasn't a kid's smile. It was slow, knowing, like she wasn't afraid at all. They escorted her away gently without cuffs or panic. Just led her through a restricted hallway past the Starbucks. The whole time she kept looking back at me. Even after she turned a corner, I still felt her eyes. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone for updates. News alerts. Anything. Nothing. No new posts about a found child. No press conference. No airport statement. Just the same old article. Emma Lee Morgan vanished from her backyard in Boise. Last seen chasing a red balloon. Disappeared without a trace. The next day, curiosity turned into obsession. I scoured Reddit, forums, local news sites. That's when I found something strange, a thread on a conspiracy board. Title: "Seen this girl before she went missing?" It was full of posts like this. "Saw her in a McDonald's play area in New Mexico. Thought she looked off. Found the poster 2 days later. Same girl. I swear I saw her at a Greyhound station in Nevada. She was sitting alone on a bench. Wouldn't talk. Just stared. We called the police, but she disappeared before they arrived. Dozens of these. From different states. Different airports. All before the date she supposedly vanished. It didn't make sense. Until I read this comment. She's not missing. She's appearing. I stopped flying for a while after that. Took trains. Drove. Avoided crowds. Tried to convince myself it was a weird coincidence. Then 2 weeks later I got a call. No caller ID. Just static. I answered without thinking. Hello. A little girl's voice, soft and clear, whispered into the line. I remember you. Then silence. Click. I stood in my kitchen, heart racing, phone shaking in my hand. The voice wasn't from a recording. It wasn't glitched. It was her. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I stopped at a gas station just off the highway. I needed coffee and Advil and a way to forget. As I walked in, I noticed the bulletin board outside by the ice machine. Another missing child poster. Freshly stapled. Missing Jacob Reynolds, age 7. Last seen in Kansas City. Blonde hair. Yellow coat. Spider-Man shoes. And then, no more than 10 feet away, a little boy stood by the vending machine. Blonde. Yellow coat. Spider-Man shoes. He turned his head slowly. And smiled. Since that day I've seen 3 more posters. Each followed by a child showing up somewhere they shouldn't be. Quiet. Still. Smiling that same unnatural smile. People say kids go missing every day. But what if they're not missing? What if something is letting them in? Letting them walk between places like shadows? And what if they're not trying to get home? What if they're waiting for someone like you to sit beside them? You wouldn't think a black suitcase could ruin your life, but it did mine. It happened last winter at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. I had flown in from Chicago, a short flight, nothing special. The plan was to spend 2 days visiting my cousin, eat some greasy diner food, and catch a Pistons game. Everything was normal until I got to baggage claim. The carousel spun like it always does, and I spotted my suitcase within minutes. Medium-sized, black, beat-up wheels, red ribbon on the handle. I grabbed it without thinking. I'd done it 100 times before. That was mistake number 1. I didn't realize it wasn't mine until I got to my cousin's apartment. He lived in a low-rise outside Ann Arbor, in a place that always smelled like popcorn and wet socks. I threw the suitcase on the couch, popped it open, and froze. Inside wasn't my stuff. No clothes. No toiletries. No phone charger. Just one thing. A shoebox duct-taped shut. Wrapped in brown paper. No labels. No writing. Nothing else in the bag. I remember standing there, heart thumping, staring at it. Now, I should have taken it straight back to the airport. That's what a normal person would do. But something about it, I don't know. Curiosity? Stupidity? Maybe both. I peeled the tape back. Inside were dozens of Polaroid photos. Some were old and faded. Others looked fresh. Too fresh. All were photos of people sleeping. Different people. Different beds. All taken from inside the room. Close, intimate shots like the photographer had been standing just inches away. One of them was a little girl curled up in a Minnie Mouse blanket. Another showed an old man with an oxygen tube, his mouth slightly open, head tilted. But the last photo, that one made me sit down. It was a photo of me, sleeping, in my old apartment. Same ratty sheets. Same crooked blinds. It was taken months ago. I remembered the nightshirt I wore. But I lived alone. No one should have been able to take that photo. I slammed the shoebox shut and backed away. Something deep in my gut screamed, "Get rid of it." I stuffed everything back into the suitcase and zipped it. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound made me flinch. Every passing car outside felt like someone was watching. The next morning, I returned to the airport. Told them I picked up the wrong bag by accident. The agent was polite, too polite. She asked for my name, my flight info, and where the exchange had happened. Then she asked me to wait. I waited for over an hour. Finally, a man in a suit came out, not airport staff. No badge. No smile. "Sir, could you step into the back office?" I hesitated. "I just came to return a bag." Yes, he said calmly. Please follow me. The room they took me to was too clean. Soundproofed maybe. No windows. Just a table, 2 chairs, and that weird buzzing you only hear under fluorescent lights. The man set the suitcase on the table and unzipped it. He pulled out the shoebox like he already knew what was inside. This isn't yours, he said flatly. No. That's what I told. He slid one of the photos toward me. The one of me sleeping. Do you know how this was taken? I shook my head. No. I swear to God. He stared at me. Not angry. Just tired. You need to forget about this, he said quietly. Who are you? You picked up the wrong bag. That's all. You'll leave it here. And you'll never ask about it again. But if you tell anyone, he said, you'll wish you hadn't. Then he smiled for the first time. It was not a friendly smile. I left the room, left the suitcase, left the airport. But I didn't forget. I couldn't. Over the next few days, weird things started happening. Small at first. Someone rang my cousin's doorbell at 2:17 a.m. When we checked the camera, no one was there. Weird static on my phone anytime I tried calling home. Random photos disappearing from my gallery. Then one night, while driving back from a gas station, I spotted a car following me. No headlights. Just far enough back to not seem obvious. I sped up. So did they. I pulled into a fast food drive-thru hoping they'd pass. They didn't. They waited. Parked across the street. When I finally got my food and drove off, I didn't go home. I looped around 3 different neighborhoods, then doubled back. Still behind me. I finally drove straight to the police station. But as I pulled into the lot, they were gone. Just like that. Vanished. I tried reporting it. The officer at the desk seemed sympathetic, but the second I mentioned the airport, something changed in his eyes. He stopped writing. Best not to go digging into the wrong stuff, he said. Mistakes happen. Sometimes it's better to just let them go. He handed me a form and told me to call if anything physical happened. Whatever that meant. I flew back to Chicago 2 days later. Thought putting some distance would help. But it didn't. Back home, I started getting mail with no return address. One envelope had a photo, an old one of my parents on vacation. A photo I'd never seen before. Another had a piece of paper with just a single sentence typed in the center. You shouldn't have opened the box. That night, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. to the sound of my front door unlocking. Not knocking. Unlocking. I grabbed a bat and crept into the hallway. No one was there. But the door? The door was wide open. Nothing taken. No forced entry. Just open. Now I keep all the lights on at night. I sleep with a crowbar under my bed. I moved apartments twice. Still, sometimes I catch a figure in the reflection of a window that disappears when I turn. And sometimes when I sleep, I dream of that suitcase. Sitting on the carousel. Waiting for the next person to grab it. Because I think that's all it needs. Someone to claim it. To look inside. To be marked. Airports are weird in-between places. You're not really anywhere, just floating in between lives like a ghost with a carry-on bag. I had a 4-hour layover in Atlanta before catching my connection to Seattle. I wasn't in a rush, didn't mind the wait. My plan was to grab a coffee, scroll TikTok, maybe take a nap near the big windows in Concourse C. That didn't happen. Instead, I got pulled aside at the TSA checkpoint. Not during initial screening. No, I'd already been through all that back in Dallas. This was different. I was just walking to find a restroom when a TSA officer approached me from the side. Excuse me, sir, can you come with me? His voice was calm but flat. No explanation. No small talk. I blinked. What's going on? We just need to ask you a few questions. Did I do something? But he didn't answer. Just motioned with his hand. I glanced around. People kept walking. No one looked at me. Something in me said, don't make a scene. So I followed him. We walked through an unmarked door beside a Hudson News kiosk, down a short hallway lined with gray panels and flickering ceiling lights, then into a plain white room with a metal table and 2 plastic chairs. There was no clock, no windows, no security cameras that I could see. He left me there alone for about 15 minutes. No phone, no signal. The room blocked everything. When the door finally opened again, it wasn't the same officer. It was a man in a black suit. Clean-shaven, late 40s, no name tag. "Can you confirm your name is Derek Collins?" he asked. "Yeah." "What's this about?" He didn't answer. He slid a folder onto the table and opened it. Inside was a printed still frame from an airport security camera. The image was grainy, but I saw myself, standing at baggage claim. Only, it wasn't me. Same jacket, same backpack, same posture. But I hadn't even been in that terminal. "That's not me," I said. "You're saying this isn't you taken yesterday in Charlotte?" he asked. "I wasn't in Charlotte." He stared at me, then closed the folder. "Have you ever experienced memory loss?" "What? No." "Have you been having unusual dreams lately?" I felt my heart pick up. "What does that have to do with anything?" "Answer the question." I hesitated. "I mean, yeah, maybe. Who doesn't?" He leaned forward. "Do you remember what you were doing 4 nights ago between 2 and 3 a.m.? I paused. I couldn't. I think I was asleep, but the more I tried to picture it, the more it slipped through my fingers like fog. "I don't know," I admitted. "I was probably in bed." He nodded slowly, like that confirmed something. Then he asked something that chilled me. "Have you ever woken up somewhere you don't remember falling asleep?" I didn't answer, because the truth was, yes. Last week, I woke up on the floor of my apartment. Not in my bed. My door was still locked. Everything looked fine. But I was lying on the hardwood with my shoes still on. I thought I'd had too much to drink. Or maybe just sleepwalked. But now I wasn't sure. He stood up. "That'll be all for now." "That's it." He nodded. "You'll be escorted back to the terminal. Your flight's in 2 hours. He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "Mr. Collins?" "Yeah." "If you start to remember anything, don't speak to anyone. Not even your family." They released me like nothing happened. No explanation. No apology. I didn't say anything to the flight staff. Just boarded my plane and stared out the window the entire time. But something changed after that. Back in Seattle, things felt wrong. Not wrong like ghosts and monsters. Wrong like cracks in a mirror that no one else sees. My apartment door was unlocked when I got home. Nothing stolen. Just open. My phone had 3 missed calls from a number that didn't exist when I tried to dial it back. And at night I started hearing things. Voices. Static. Whispers through my headphones that weren't in the music. 3 days later I went to a CVS. As I was leaving, I noticed the same TSA officer from Atlanta standing across the parking lot. No uniform. Just watching me. I blinked and he was gone. A week passed. Then something truly terrifying happened. I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. unknown.origin@nullnet.mail. Subject line, "You are not alone." It had a video file attached. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. It was surveillance footage. Black and white. Silent. It showed me in my apartment. Except the me in the video wasn't acting normal. I was sitting on the edge of my bed staring at the wall for 5 straight hours. No blinking. No movement. Just frozen. Then at 3:17 a.m. I stood up, walked to the camera, and smiled directly into the lens. That wasn't me. I never did that. But that was my room. My clothes. My face. The timestamp matched the night I woke up on the floor. I went to the police. They laughed me off. Said someone must have hacked my webcam. Maybe a prank. They didn't even take a report. So I bought a new phone. New laptop. Changed my locks. Didn't help. Because last night I got another email. No subject line. Just an attachment. A screenshot from airport security footage. It showed me again, but I was walking through customs in Mexico. I've never even been to Mexico. But there I was, plain as day. Same face. Same jacket. Smiling at the camera. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if I'm going crazy or if something else, someone else, is using my face. But I've stopped sleeping. Stopped answering calls. Because I don't know who's watching. Or how far this goes. And the worst part? Every time I pass a mirror now, I look at myself just a little longer. Just to make sure it's still me looking back.